I just wanted to welcome you to day 0 of our open house. And our open house period starts off with this Optimize Your Personal Performance Habits webinar. So I'm going to go over it really briefly in this video, although we just had an hour-long discussion with a bunch of your fellow startup scouts earlier this evening. So the team consists of me, Munir, Dara, and Tudor, who is not shown here, but he will be. And we each have various skills that we can offer some support to. So for instance, Tudor is very deeply interested in designing educational experiences and pedagogies. I have a background in design. I've been running businesses since I was in high school, and electronics and robotics. Some of the technical questions that you might have, you could ask me. Munir's been running boot camps with Alt City for almost, for many, many years now. And Dara has great writing skills, copywriting, and presentation skills. So this is the team that's running this project. And I wanted to go through, just in case you don't have any idea what Startup Scouts is, what you're doing here, just really quickly. Startup Scouts is about trying to support startups everywhere by using a distributed platform where we can support each other and create content to help ourselves grow. So one of the things that's missing in many places is great connections to mentors and startup support. And it only is found normally in some of the bigger cities. And so we were wondering, can we take our program and create an excellent and amazing experience for people on the internet? And it's going to really require you to contribute and to participate to make that happen. And so we call it a mode, a massive online doing experience, because it's not about us telling you things. It's about us doing things together. And Startup Scouts is about creating the structure and the framework to support you as you're doing these things. And in terms of some of the key dates, what you can see is that we have the open house period that is open now. This is day 0 and day 1. So day 0 is because we have to start off somewhere, and we're going to start with introductions to learn to use the community platform. And then day 1 is going and talking about the startup habits and mindsets of success. The application deadline for the sprint is on the 28th. So this entire open house period, think of it as a time to get to know the program, to get to know each other, and then everything is due on the 28th. And the 2 core things you need to remember that are due is your online assessment, because it is going to be how we frame the entire growth process during Startup Scouts, and your pitch. So these are 2 things that we're going to work on during this open house period to make sure that you're super ready, and that on July 28th, you're going to be rocking it. And during August 4th through the 11th, we're going to go through a week compression work session where we're going to take that initial pitch that you've done, work on the business model, connect you to mentors to be able to support you on restructuring, reframing, and polishing a pitch that will be presented at the Sarai for a 1-day event in the semifinals on August 13th. So that is the big day. And then after that, that's when you get into the Impact Accelerator. We're going to pick our favorite teams along with a panel of judges to select from the teams that presented on August 13th and take a bunch of them into the Impact Accelerator, where they're going to get access to resources, different perks from GAN, and some funding to run the infrastructure of their businesses from September through December, and full-time work with us on the team and mentors. So the Impact Accelerator is what we're preparing for and working towards, and we're excited that you're a part of this journey. All right, so I described a little bit about me. This isn't interactive if you're watching this video, but maybe you can just think for a second, who are you? And if you've done your assessment, hopefully I've sent you your results and you've seen a little bit about where you stand. And that's kind of the question that I'm asking here is, where are you right now? And what do you need to engender in yourself and either your strengths or your mental complexity to grow into being a better entrepreneur? And in case you guys didn't know this, basically jobs are changing, and the jobs of the future don't exist yet. And that within 50 years, so many of the jobs are going to be automated. So one of the thoughts around entrepreneurship and supporting entrepreneurs around the world is that we need people that are creating the jobs of the future, And part of what we need to do that is to realize that schools were a part of an industrial economy that no longer exists. So we used to build people that, by giving them knowledge and information and techniques and capabilities that were useful for an industry to take advantage of. For example, accountants, they're really good at math. They need a high level of intelligence and skills and learning about legal structures as well as finances to be able to do their jobs. And they're now being automated because it's easier to make programs to do that work. And so what's going to happen with this change of jobs? And the world is now so complex and uncertain and chaotic because this is really changing the structure of our societies, because there used to be a path, school, job, life, and home. And since this is beginning to shift due to the increase in unemployment, the basis of society is getting shaken, and it's very uncertain times. And so what do you do in uncertain times? Well, one of the ideas is that we can build the future. And this is one of the things that we are really excited about for all of you guys that are onto this program, that have an entrepreneurial mindset, that have a vision of the future and want the support to create it. We really encourage you, but we also want to make sure that you guys know that it's a challenge and it's really a big task, and that you should take care of yourself as you're going about it. And this is why we talk about personal and professional growth, because if you get everything you dreamed that you wanted, but you're not happy and you're not supported and you don't feel like you're in a good place, then what's the point of all the success? So success starts with yourself. There's a beautiful quote from Marcus Aurelius, and I wanted to go through really quickly and start talking about the growth mindset, which is one of the frameworks that we're using, which is basically telling yourself, rather than saying I'm good or I'm bad, and we're in this journey together, I'm still a learner. And so the growth mindset is saying not yet, I am working on becoming. And that's something that many people have noticed in successful people, is that they're not blaming themselves for what they don't know. They're actually realizing that it's critical that they give themselves the opportunity to become. And so within our language that we use as we're describing Startup Scouts, as you're talking to each other on the forums, please remember, not yet. The class assessment. So one of the things that's really important for an entrepreneur to be able to do is to be able to understand a world of systems of interplaying parts and how their business fits inside of these various systems. And so this is a process that humans go through. Actually, there's been some research. This is based off of this pedagogical researcher named Piaget, and he talks about how when we're very, very young, we don't distinguish between the world and our observation about the world. We kind of think of the world being the way that we see it. So this difference between subject and object is unified, and that's what's represented here as a single point. And over time, your worldview just gets more and more complex as you take that single point and you can move it into your head. So when a child sees people from a tall building down on the floor, the child thinks, oh, what small people, is not able to put themselves in the minds of the people down there, thinking, wow, because they're far away, they're very small. And this ability to imagine a system outside is moving from the object to the subject, and compounding it is how we actually begin to get these various levels of complexity and systems thinking. And so this is the class assessment. It's part of the packet of assessments that we give you. It's very important that you give us enough words. So we need at least 150 words for each answer to be able to take advantage of the technology underpinning our class assessment, the digital class assessment. Moving on, of course, all of these slides I'll be putting up online. I'm trying to get a very brief overview for the benefit of time. And so the next assessment that we use is the VIA assessment. And in the VIA assessment, we found some research that shows these 5 highlighted strengths as being more correlated to the strengths of successful entrepreneurs, as defined not only by their own assessment, but the assessment of their friends, families, and mentors. So the top strength that connects the most with entrepreneurial success, if you can guess what it is, it's authenticity. And authenticity and honesty are basically one and the same. It's about showing up authentically as you are, knowing your strengths in the business and where you're at in terms of your business and representing it for what it is, and knowing about how to grow and how to improve. If you have wishful thinking or magical thinking, these things get in the way of our ability to be very strong. And so our goal isn't to say that this is what we're going to become. We're going to become successful entrepreneurs by copying their top 5 strengths. Our goal is to say, where are we with our strengths? And can we find people that complement us as we're trying to develop a well-rounded team? Or are there strengths that I see in my bottom half of my strengths list that I'd love to engender to become a happier, more well-rounded person? And this is going to be your assignment today, is to look at your assessment, or if you haven't done the assessment, to do your assessment. And once you get your results, try to find one of the strengths that you want to work the most on in pursuit of developing your business. Rule your mind, or it will rule you. This is a very important quote. And this is kind of one of the things that relates to growth mindset, relates to the not yet, relates to how I would like us to communicate with each other. And I'll let you just read it because I really believe in it. And it's important because it connects to habits, which is the next part that we're going to be talking about. It all starts with your thoughts. So we are what we repeatedly do. Greatness then is a habit. And this is one of the core things we'd like to share, is that not only do we want to talk about the growth mindset, not only do we want to look at our strengths and our class mental complexity, we want to take those things, figure out how we want to develop, and then support each other in developing in that way by creating the context and the habits that bring it into our lives every day, rather than thinking like forcing ourselves or creating a bunch of big ambitious goals that we can't attain, but what can we do every day that brings these things into our lives daily? So you have your assignment, you have a really quick overview of the workshop that we just did tonight, and we will host another one if you guys feel like it, if you guys are excited about doing the assessment now and haven't yet had the opportunity to discuss with me and with other startup scouts, I would be willing to host another assessment overview and discussion. So I hope you enjoyed this brief talk. And we're just going to conclude with a description of how habits are formed. So once we identify the strength that we want to engender, we want to find a way to bring up this idea into our lives and how we're going to practice it. And then most importantly is end with a celebration. And so thank you for watching my video. I'm going to celebrate for completing it. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. And if you have any questions, ask on the community forums.